Chapter 35, in which the raven, never flitting, still is sitting, still is sitting. Spoiler alert, I didn't die. But I couldn't open my eyes for close to 20 minutes, and even then I could only hold them open for a few seconds before succumbing to an involuntary blinking fit. I gave my eyes one last splash, then 6 more, and wandered back down the dark hallway into the cafe where Parker waved at me from a corner table. "See, you lived," Garland said as I walked over and stood next to him. Then he pointed across the table and said, "Edwin, meet our friend Raimi." A man with a 5-day beard, wearing a Paris Saint-Germain shirt, sat across the table smoking an e-cigarette, with his legs crossed in perhaps the Frenchest way possible. I nodded and said, "Hi." And Raimi said, "Edwin? Like the Edwin Allan Poe? Quote the Raven, yes?" "Yes," Parker said, before I could say no. I turned to her and she shrugged and smiled. "We should go," I said, but no one moved. So I added, "Shouldn't we?" Garland pointed toward the bar and said, "Parker, be a dear and buy Edwin a coffee." And before I could argue, she grabbed my arm and pulled me away. "What is going on?" I whispered as we stepped up to the bar. Parker turned to me after ordering and said, "We're ordering espressos, Edgar Allan." "I figured that much," I said. "But did you two forget we're sort of on the run from the law?" "Shit," Parker said. "I knew there was something we forgot." "Be serious. Did something happen while I was in the bathroom? Is getting out of Paris not important anymore?" "Too important to talk seriously about," Parker said. I didn't laugh, and she added, "Relax, Edgar Allan." "Stop calling me that." "Okay, relax, Edwin Green. We figured everything out while you were dropping the kids off at the pool." "I wasn't. I had pepper spray in my eyes." "Wait, you did?" "We did," she said. "Raimi is giving us his car." "Raimi? That dude you met 10 minutes ago? He looks like a bad guy from a Fast and Furious film." "People aren't good or bad, Edwin Green. They're either charming or tedious, and Raimi is charming. Plus, he's giving us his car." "Whatever," I said, "but even charming people don't just give strangers their cars." "Of course they do," Parker said, and we took our espressos back to the table, just as Raimi handed Garland his keys. "Let me guess," I said to Raimi as we sat down. "While I was in the bathroom, Garland regaled you with his tale of lost love, and now you feel compelled to help him however you can." "No, this is not so," Raimi said. "What compelled me was, how do you say, the bling bling." And when he held up his phone, I saw a wire transfer on his banking app, and a number with a lot of zeros behind it. "See," Garland said, "I've got more than one trick." I shook my head, and the 4 of us sipped coffee and made awkward conversation until Garland said it was time to leave. We followed Raimi from the cafe, down a side street, to a neon green Peugeot hatchback not much bigger than Morning View Arbor's security golf cart. "Is here," Raimi said, pointing toward the ugliest car in France. "Thank you again," Garland said, "and remember, whatever money you have left after you buy a new car is yours to keep." "Yes," Raimi said, "this is too kind." Then he turned and walked back toward the cafe before stopping and saying, "I wish you all the good luck. Au revoir." Garland popped the back hatch and tossed me the keys, and I asked, "Are you going to buy 2 more of these, or do you expect us to all fit in this one?" "What was that, son?" "Nothing," I said, and Parker began rapping about people laughing at our hatchback. I squinted at her in confusion, and she asked, "Skilo?" I wish I was taller, a baller. Come on, Edwin Green, you have to know that one. I shook my head and asked, do you have obscure rap lyrics for every possible occasion? Out of my way, son, Garland growled, and pulled my seat forward so he could squeeze into the back seat. As he climbed inside, I asked, so how much did you pay that dude for his go-kart? Enough for him to buy 2 more if he wants, Garland said, tumbling less than gracefully onto the back seat. Then the old man sat up and asked, what do you have against Peugeot anyway? They make good cars. I'm sure they do, I said, and tossed my bag into the open hatch before saying to him over the back seat, I just wish you would have bought some stranger's SUV. Remind me to tell you a story about beggars and choosers one day, Garland said as I slammed the hatch. I laughed and looked across to the top of the car at Parker, who was standing by the passenger door. Shotgun, she shouted, even though there was no one left to call it. We climbed inside, and before I could stop her, she grabbed my phone and said, I've promoted myself to navigator. Okay, I said, reaching for my phone and missing. But why don't you use your phone? Because international data is expensive, man. Whatever, I said, and cranked the car. Just type Khan into Google Maps. I know how to use a phone, Edwin Green. And we're not going to Khan, Garland said from the back seat. What? I turned around. Why not? 'Cause I didn't crash in Khan. I crashed in St. Lo. I told Baldy Khan in the unlikely event we ever made it out of that airport. Now when they start looking for us, they'll start looking in the wrong town. Brilliant, Parker said. Then she hit me on the arm and said, straight ahead 100 yards, Captain. Then make a sharp left on Avenue de Malakoff. It's hard to say what time my internal clock thought it was, but I was now wide awake. Seems espresso and pepper spray, combined with an impromptu vehicle purchase and merging into rush hour traffic in a huge foreign city, was a potent cure for jet lag. Not a cure I'd recommend, but a potent cure nonetheless. I checked my mirror. Garland was already asleep in the back. Then I glanced over at Parker and she winked. I tried to wink back, but my eyelids still weren't working properly. So instead I made the face people make right before they sneeze, and she laughed. Then we both laughed, because we'd actually pulled it off. We were about to disappear into a country of 66 million people. We had no idea Raimi would soon call the Paris police to report his car stolen. The asshole.